We need the adoption of the agenda, please.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded to adopt the agenda there as printed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 3.0, approval of minutes.
So moved. And seconded.
Moved and seconded to approve those minutes as printed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. 4.0, consideration of bills and warrants.
Motion to approve bills and warrants.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve those bills and warrants. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 5.0, hearing of requests and suggestions of citizens and organizations. I don't see anybody here in our meeting facilities, so we'll move on to 6.0, which is supposed to be Chris Schultz giving a special presentation about indoor tennis facility. I don't see Mr. Schultz either, so.
So he had let us know that he wouldn't be able to be here today.
Okay.
And so we are going to plan on having him come join us in January or February.
Okay, and that'll be just fine, thank you.
Mhm.
Okay, 7.0, report of the superintendent of schools.
All right, here we go. The ESSER update, the total, wait, now am I on? There we go. All right. So the total has been allocated and approved by KSDE for ESSER 3, so that's the $4,663,635. So it has all been approved and allocated, and there are no funds left. So 20% of that, which was $932,727, needed to be allocated for learning loss. It worked out by the time we were finished, it was over $1.5 million that we actually spent on learning loss. So the ESSER year-end report is due. It's a big, big report. Tanya's been working on that prior to leaving for her well-deserved vacation. And so that is due January 15th, so we're finishing that up to get it completed. So we've got that. Strategic update. All right, in your packet is the strategic plan from 2020 to 2023. So it is time to write a new one. We're going to start that process January the 2nd. We're going to kick it off with certified staff. We're going to review the previous plan and the progress that we've made and where we are now. And then Jeff and I are going to spend 45 minutes to an hour with each certified group during the course of that day to do a SWOT analysis, where we talk about our strengths, our weaknesses, our opportunities, and threats and things that we need to work on and can work towards. So some of those things are given in a strategic plan. Teaching and learning, the academic portion of that, that's why we're here. So that's something that is, it needs to be a part of the strategic plan. Facilities and infrastructure, that does as well. But there's also an opportunity for staff to give some input on things they think are important and valuable and need to be included in that plan. So we're going to do that during January. We're also then going to meet with classified staff sometime during January, February. Our administrators, before they left, started to reach out to parents to see who might be interested in being on the strategic planning committee. So we'll have some of those meetings with parents of an evening, and at lunch we'll have some business community groups as well, and the board will have an opportunity to do that. So that's just getting started, but we're excited to get that going. Next, our holiday cards. Okay, so years ago we had these holiday cards and they were printed and they were, I don't know, they were okay, but they weren't super exciting. And we had an art teacher one time that said, oh, my kids could make those cards. And I thought, oh, what a great idea. Teachers have great ideas. So these are the 3 cards this year that were selected. And so I'm just going to pass them around so that you can see they're really cute. I was proud of them. They did a good job. We had 2 seniors, and that was Emma Harris and Caden Blake. Both of their holiday cards were selected, and 1 sophomore, Luke Page. So those were the 3 that were selected, and we send those out to all kinds of other school districts and folks that send us cards. You'll get one in the mail as well. So it's just nice that our kids make them, and on the back of each card it says who it was designed by, gives it their name and the grade. So we always send one to the parent as well, or parents, so that they've got blank copies to put somewhere. So that's what we've got. I thought they were pretty good this year. The cow one in particular.
Yeah.
It's kind of my favorite. Let's see, what else? So we are on winter recess right now. Students are. The official date was December 18th, which is today, through January 1st. Teachers come back on January the 2nd. That's that staff professional development that we talked about, where we're going to do strategic planning, and then there'll be some building PD, and something else that when teachers give feedback on professional development, things they want, things they need, they always say, when school, it's time for second semester, a little time to work in our room would be helpful. And so they've got some additional time built into their day to do that as well. And then students return on January the 3rd. Now, our next board meeting is going to be here before we know it, because beginning in January, we're going to have our board meeting the second Monday of each month instead of the 3rd. So January the 8th will be the next regularly scheduled board meeting here. Something I'd forgotten, left off my list, January 11th, that's going to be the Academic Achievement Special Board Meeting, where we sit and we visit with each individual building. You have a chance to rotate around 2 at a time to each building to talk about academic achievement and to look at those scores and ask questions. So that's January the 11th at
We have a time? Yeah.
at 5:30
And where?
at the high school community room. So we will have dinner, and you can take your pizza and go around to visit all the tables to go over all of the data. So that's happening. Then on January 5th, school is not in session. The district office is closed. That's Martin Luther King Jr. Day, so in honor.
15th.
The 15th, what did I say?
5th, yeah.
Oh, 5th, sorry, 15th, you are right. Okay. And the last thing I have, so this is the last board meeting for Mike Castle and Joan Thompson, and that's crazy. It is. So we went back and looked today. Jeff and I were looking to see, because you've both been educators for, lifelong educators. So we went and looked, what year did they graduate? What year were they first licensed? And you were first licensed the exact same day, because prior to that, they didn't have records of that were kept electronically.
Tells you all you need to know right
I'm telling
there.
you what, the dedication and the years of service. So Joanne graduated with a bachelor's from Washburn in 72 and a master's in 91. She spent 8 years on the board, but she has spent years in public education as a teacher, a mentor, an instructional coach, all of those things. Mike went to Fort Hays State, graduated in 68 with a bachelor's and then again with a master's in 72, and has spent 6 years on the Board of Education, and all the rest of that time, he's been a teacher, a principal, a superintendent, on the CASHA board. All of those years of service you have dedicated to public education. And honor flight. There's lots of things that you have done. And a wealth of knowledge and experience are leaving with you two this evening. So I want to thank you for your dedication, your hard work, your support. It's been invaluable to me personally in this new position, even though it was 6 years ago. There have been lots of times I've been able to call or you've been able to call and say, hey, don't do that. Or what about this? Or, and I appreciate it very much. We are better because you have both served. We are. And so, thank you very much.
Hate to see you go.
Yeah,
Not only are we better, the community is better.
absolutely. And our school, everyone is.
The
Everybody.
entire community is better.
That's what I mean, absolutely. Everyone has been blessed. So we do have these nice plaques. So presented to Mike Castle, 6 years of dedicated service from 2017 to 2023. Let me pass it to you, or you may shake your
Just pass
hand.
it.
I just pass it, okay.
Frisbee it.
Yeah, oh no, it's heavy. That, we don't need any of that. And there's Joanne's for 8 years of service on the board, so thank you both.
Be missed.
You will definitely both be missed.
By you.
Yeah.
Certainly so.
I think I'm gonna have to get a picture of that.
Oh, yeah, at the end,
get in
yeah, for
trouble
sure, we'll have to
calling
get
you,
pictures of them
okay.
smiling so we can put that on our, smiling, because it's the last time you have to come to a board meeting, this time around.
Yeah.
All right, okay, that's what I've got, thank you.
Okay, so we're moving on to reports of Board of Education. So, Mr. Castle, do you have anything to say about the Tri-County Board meeting?
Yes, we had a little longer meeting. One of the big things, a couple of big things we did. One is we authorized them to begin looking for another school psychologist. The student ratio is about 2.5 times the recommended. And so we're going to try to find someone for that. And then we did the administrator's, Emily's evaluation, and then extended her contract for another year through the 25-26 school year.
Okay.
Is that it?
Okay, thank you very much.
And I would like to say, we need to encourage someone to
Yeah.
step up.
Yeah,
Someone's got to do this. We don't want to be unrepresented at those meetings once a month. We need someone, whether it's one of you other 5 or whether it's one of the 2 new ones.
yeah, agreed, agreed. Thank you for that advice. All right, so we'll move on to 9.0, transportation update and food service update.
Okay, so your transportation update from Mr. Giefer was in your view last Friday, so he is gone. He's out of state, actually, on a nice little trip. And so it was included in the view. Someone asked today, when it said transportation report and gave the number of bus routes, we have 5, van routes 1, it said air, and that's the academic improvement room. I had to go ask Jeff, and Jeff had to look it up. I knew what it was. It's after-school tutoring, but we have acronyms for everything. Academic improvement room. They do that in one building, so we have a route. So,
That's actually what I could have told you guys.
look at you. Good for you.
Coach us
Yeah.
up.
I put it on my list.
Did you put it on your list? Good. All right, we've got 342 students that ride in the morning, that are signed up to ride. Now, sometimes kids just ride. 418 signed up in the afternoon, 8 go over to Independence, 14 who do the after-school tutoring. And this year, we started with 13 drivers that had a commercial driver's license. We now have 11. We also have 9 monitors, so that, I think, is a benefit to our transportation department. And it makes it more, I think, palatable for drivers to want to come because they know they're not going to have to manage behavior on the bus. They just have to drive. So, and of course, we're always looking for bus drivers, and this is a great place to work. So he's got some banners out, so feel free to call. And then there's the list of activity trips. There were 173 activity trips first semester. Wow, that's a lot. And it took 223 buses, so that's good. The food service reports, did they all get those?
Yes.
All right. And so this one, when she sent me this, I had to just call and double check. You know, this year we're doing community eligibility, so everyone eats for free. And that has really increased the numbers of kids participating, which is great. So we still have the 2 base kitchens, one at the high school that does, couple buildings, and one at the middle school. At the high school, we have served this semester 5,836 breakfasts, and that, she tells you that's an increase of 2,100. So that's good. And an increase of 3,621 lunches. We served almost 13,400 lunches just at the high school. Garfield breakfasts have gone up, and so have their lunches. This is the one that's used. The number of kids eating at Guthridge has increased 1,287 meals. We served 7,000 breakfasts there at Guthridge. Lots of kids eat. But I do remember when my John was little, now he's old, but when he was little, he had to eat breakfast every day at Guthridge because Mrs. Coker would say, "Would you like to have breakfast with me?" And I kept getting a bill, and I said, "You eat breakfast at home." "Well, Miss Coker says, if you'd like to have breakfast with me, please come line up." And he would say, "I want to have breakfast with Mrs. Coker." Everybody loved Miss Coker, so, but he did too. So those numbers have increased. The middle school, it's still got 1 kitchen manager and the 6 staff. They provide the lunch to Lincoln and St. Pat's, where the high school does Guthridge and Garfield. So that's where those satellite out to. You can see those numbers have increased. They continue to cater St. Pat's lunches. So this semester, that was 3,511 lunches that they provided. And they've done about 777 what we call Viking Vittles, which is really a sport meal. And it's got the sandwich, the chips, the fruit, and a snack and a water that go with kids, so. It's
So I
been
have 2 questions then.
Okay.
With this tremendous increase in meals, number 1, is there enough staff? And number 2, is there enough time for kids to eat?
So I think what we're having are kids that have attended, but that have either brought their lunch or had someone bring them something else. I think now what we're having is a lot of moms and dads are saying, it's free, just eat what they're having at school, it's free. And so because our enrollment numbers haven't increased, that would indicate So this just tells me students that weren't eating before are eating now, but the lunch periods were the same. Before, they just ate a lunch from home, and now they go through the line. So we're always pretty flexible. We have about 35 minutes, and we always have to kind of tweak those at the beginning of the year, those lunch periods. So I do know we're looking for one food service staff member, that we currently have a vacancy. But Marla's done a good job, the ladies have done, and gentlemen have done a good job of managing their time and working hard.
And I think everybody's had enough time to eat, too. We haven't
Yeah.
fielded one complaint that I'm
No,
aware of.
I'm not
Okay, that's what I was asking.
Yeah, we haven't fielded one complaint, and being around the buildings at lunch, it seems
Okay.
very efficient, and the kids have enough time to eat.
So those are those two reports.
Thank you. We move to 10.0, action to accept donations to schools.
Okay, this is on page 30 in your packet. So Lincoln Elementary Wall Funeral Home made a donation for parent-teacher conference meals, $250. D&E Pizza, which is Domino's, made an unrestricted donation, $510.57. Tank Connection made a donation to the local fund, $500, for a total at Lincoln, $1,260.57. At Garfield, there was an anonymous donor, restricted donation for family engagement, $200. That made a total of $200 for their donations for the month of November. At Guthridge, there was one donation from Tank Connections, which was restricted for student use, for $500, so that was the total there as well. At Parsons High School, Eulene Good made a donation of books for the library, $529.48. There were anonymous donations of orchestra instruments, $1,243. Opile Prince had a positive reinforcement program donation, $2.65. PHS Cheer got a donation from Fancy Nails, $21.07. The volleyball program received a donation from Audrey Forbes, $177. Jeanette and Vincent Horton donated to the volleyball program, $50. There was an anonymous donation to the football program, $1,238.26. Eric and Terry Swanson made a donation for the soccer banquet, $25. Justin Brown made a $25 donation for the soccer banquet. Parsons Taco Mayo made a $1,000 donation for the softball scoreboard. Ray Products donated $100 toward the softball scoreboard. Pete's of Erie donated $500 towards the softball scoreboard. Wall Funeral Homes made a donation of $250 towards the softball scoreboard. Neil Springer made a donation of $750 towards the softball scoreboard. Betty Bluebaugh Agency made a $100 donation to the softball scoreboard. Tom Davis Chevrolet made a $1,000 donation towards the softball scoreboard for a total of $7,011.46. So the total district donations for November 2023, $8,972.03.
Do we know, because I've been seeing these softball scoreboard donations for some time now, do we know when that's going to?
That's something we need to check with Tyler and Chris about, and get back with you.
Okay.
So they should be getting close.
I think they had enough on it.
Yeah,
but-
yes, I think that started as a parent project.
Yeah.
And then took off.
Okay,
Yes.
all right. So we need a motion on those, please.
So moved. Second.
Moved and second to approve those donations to schools. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. 10.1, first reading of the CASB recommended updates.
And so they were in your view December the 8th. And so this will be something that we take action on in January. There's not anything to take action on now. There are a couple things to look at. One is lunches. They have a whole thing about negative meal balances that are in arrears, how you would take care of that, if you would feed a child an alternate meal or a regular meal. We don't have to make any of those decisions for the next 5 years because we do have, or for the next 4 after this year, because we do have the community eligibility provision, and we'll continue to do that application, and I feel confident we will qualify. However, at the end of that community eligibility provision, we would need to have some kind of policy in place for delinquent meal balances and what we're going to feed a kid. The reality is we're going to feed a kid every time. We're not going to not feed a student. And it makes the most sense to me just to feed them a reimbursable meal, because has all the components, but that, we don't need to take any action tonight, but that is in here. And I think that was the only,
The military leave.
oh, and there was some questions about the military leave. It's now called uniform service leave in regard to a supplemental position. So we're getting clarification on that to make sure that we're in compliance and just understand what it is we would need to do if we had a service member that went on leave. So we'll take action next month, though. But if you're reading those and you think, oh, what about this, please let me know.
Thank you. 10.2, discussion and possible action on the plan for safe return to instruction and continuity of services.
Okay, and so this is the same thing that we've done. This was what they came out with about 48 hours before the ESSER 3 plans were due. I don't know if you remember that back in the day, it kind of all has come together, I don't know. And they said you have to have this done in 48 hours, it has to be posted on your website, or you're not eligible for ESSER 3. And so, I worked like crazy and got it done, and now, and part of that, and then of course they said, well, we're gonna extend it a day, and here Greenbush made a template. Well, ours doesn't look like everyone else's because I did it. However, it is, part of the requirement is every 6 months, you look at it and say, okay. And so it's the same as what it was last month. You know, Lou asked today about, okay, well, it says something about masks and numbers. That would be based on the county, and that would be stuff from the health department. So they would be the ones to tell us that infection rate, which then would determine whether or not we went back to that. That would be a county health department information. So we just have to show that we've looked at it every 6 months and that it's approved, and we continue to then post it with those updated dates so that we make sure every T is crossed and every I dotted with that federal money.
So, but, I mean, as far as the mask and cleaning and contact tracing, those are things we're not currently
Right, and so.
doing, so how do we handle that?
So we wrote it in there to where it would say if it was necessary again. And so if it's necessary, the health department will tell us it's necessary, and then we'll go back to what we've done in the past.
Because we'd relaxed that some time ago.
Yes. Mhm. And so if the health department comes back and says the infection rate in the county is high, you need to do this, and part of that would come from KDHE, so they would, I mean, it wouldn't be just like our health department randomly decided. They would get information from KDHE, and really right now, COVID is being treated like the flu, and so there's a vaccine. If you have it, you're out for 5 days, which is what they recommend when a person has the flu as well, that they're at home for 5 days.
So the county would call you, and then you would call a special board meeting?
Yeah, oh, yes, I would
Okay.
call, that's what it says, yeah, we
To
would call a board meeting.
reinstate.
Yeah, to
To
discuss.
discuss what to do.
To discuss what to do.
Do we have COVID tests currently at school for?
We do, we have had COVID tests, yes, that have been available free of charge. We're going to get a different COVID test after the first of the year, because KDHE said, don't use that kind anymore. And I don't, and they said they've expired. Okay, so we've got those all. Amber, our nurse, and all of our nursing staff has done a great job of getting all of that logged and sent back. So we filled out some additional paperwork for KDHE, another grant, so we will get a testing type of system where they could test for COVID and strep as well with this machine. But
So is this something we can drop the, I guess our policy on this next school year? or-
Well, I think after September the 30th, when everything is supposed to be done with ESSER 3, it might be possible at that time that we no longer have to renew this.
Because I guess if somebody looked on our website and they looked up at our, in-person learning regarding COVID, it still lists all these things that we're not currently doing.
No, but it's written in such a way that if they actually read it, they would do it. They could tell that, like, we didn't, so since the beginning, this is what we did, and then here's the return, and we have to legally put in the return to learn plan, so they could have clicked on that and said, oh my gosh.
Okay.
People can click on it now and think, whew, glad
Right.
I'm not having to do that.
Okay.
But we just made sure that should there be any continued requirements for social distancing, mask wearing, et cetera, we'll be ready to safely return our students
Okay.
while adhering, just like we did during that 2021 year.
Okay.
So it's not, so.
So has this So do we need action on this then? Because there have
Yes.
been some slight, okay, all right. So we need a motion to
Just to
approve
approve, yeah.
the plan as printed then. All right.
So move.
Second.
Move in second to approve the plan for safe return and in-person instruction and continuity of services plan. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, motion carries. 10.3, so this board meeting, we're separating out our executive sessions upon the recommendation of CASB. So we used to handle all of the executive session topics with one motion. And, you know, many years ago, they requested, and you hear me cite the motion, details, because they want you to cite all the reasons that you're going into executive session. So that's why I started doing that as board president. Now they're recommending that you go into separate executive sessions, which is problematic from a timing perspective, just trying to predict how much time you need. So it will, I think, lead to less efficient meetings. But this is the recommendation. And so we'll start off with the personnel matters first. We may not have anything for 10.4 and 10.5, but we'll start with 10.3 first. How much time do you need for 10.3?
I would say less than about 5 minutes probably.
Okay,
If
so,
anyone has questions in regard to personnel.
okay, so, which is your administrators too? so-
Right.
Okay, all right. So we will need significant time to go through a superintendent evaluation, which is one of our non-elected personnel tonight. So I would say we should start with, I think we need to start with 25 minutes. And so I'll entertain a motion for 25 minutes for this item 10.3.
Move we go on to executive session for 25 minutes.
Second it.
Okay, and so we're going to, it's been moved and seconded to go into executive session to discuss confidential employee information pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception in Tacoma at 6:38 for 25 minutes, and we'll return back here at 7:03. And we will have superintendent and assistant superintendent to start with, and then they will leave at different times, and we'll have the clerk note when they leave. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, we are in executive session now then, 25 minutes. Okay, we're back in open session. We do need to extend our executive session under 10.3. So I'll entertain a motion to extend for another 15 minutes.
I move that we extend executive session for another 15 minutes.
I'll second it.
Okay, moved and seconded that we re-enter executive session to discuss confidential employee information pursuant to the non-elected personnel exception under coma at 7:05 for 15 minutes. We'll be back here 7:20 in open session. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we're back in open session, and we do need to extend executive session under 10.3 again, so I'd say 10 minutes will probably handle this.
I move we extend for another 10 minutes.
So moved and seconded to go into executive session again to discuss the non-elected personnel exception under coma at 7:20. We'll return here at 7:30. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 10 more minutes. Executive session. What's that?
10.5 minutes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
I'll be comfortable with it.
Okay, so we're moving on to 10.4. Back in open session, sorry. We're moving on to 10.4, which is a separate executive session that we do have nothing to discuss, so we will not do anything with 10.4. 10.5 is the executive session for confidential student information. We do have a topic to discuss there, and so what do you think sufficient time for that is? 5 minutes for that? Anything further? Okay, so I do need a motion under 10.5 to enter executive session for 5 minutes.
Make that motion with board and administrators present, 5 minutes.
Second.
Okay, it's moved and seconded to enter executive session, discuss exception related to actions adversely or favorably affecting a student under coma at 7:32 for 5 minutes. We'll return back here 7:37. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Okay. Okay, we are back in open session again, and we're moving to 10.6, action on personnel.
All right, we've got two recommendations for employment. Brittany Berry, middle school track assistant coach, effective the '24 season, and Kyle Hutley, middle school track assistant coach, effective the 2024 season. I recommend that you approve those two for employment.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and second to approve those employments. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, 10.7, action on superintendent of schools contract and length of contract. So,
President, I'd like to make a motion to offer a 2-year contract to Lori.
Second?
okay, so the motion then is a 2-year contract, which would be a contract for 23, 24, and,
24, 25, 25, 26.
uh,
She's already got it.
yeah, 24, 25, 25, 26, yeah, correct. Okay.
Like a roll call vote on that.
Okay, all right, we can do that. Roll call vote on that, so we can, it's been moved and seconded, so that's the motion on the floor, so.
All right, so we'll start this
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes?
Yes.
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 Okay, so motion carries 5-2. Moving on to 10.8, action on assistant superintendent contract and length of contract. Need a motion on that?
I move that we give a 2-year contract to Jeff McGee's.
Okay, moved and seconded to offer Mr. Pegues, the assistant superintendent of schools, a 2-year contract, which once again be 24, 25, and 25, 26 years. And same roll call vote, Lou? You want?
No.
No? No? Okay.
So-
All right, so we'll go ahead and take action on that then. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries. 10.9, action on principal contracts and length of each contract. Does anybody want to do these individually? Okay, all right, so I'll entertain a blanket motion on all of them then, and then I'll read their names.
I'll make a motion to offer 1-year contracts to all of those administrators listed.
Second.
Moved and seconded to offer Mr. Barkus, high school principal, Tyler Thompson, high school assistant principal, Tyler Gordon, middle school principal, Olivia Knowlton, middle school assistant principal, Kurt Freeze, Guthridge elementary principal, Barney Pontius, Garfield elementary principal, and Shelley Gardner, Lincoln elementary principal, 1-year contracts, which would mean this would be for the 24-25 school year. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries, so no further business. We are adjourned. Thank you.
You sign all.
Thank you. Have a
Patience.
good
Mike, I
night.
need to get your picture too, please.